Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and the second sneak peek for the April update has dropped, and now we know what the actual focus of the update will be aside from the content improvements. Now, if you're like me and you're like a lot of people, they're hoping that the content improvements are the focus of the update, but when I mean focus of the update, I mean like what new characters are we going to get? Now, I know some people out there are hoping for an update where we get no new characters, but I don't think that Marvel Future Fight could ever really pitch that. I don't really think Netmarble Monster could ever really pitch that to Marvel. Be like, hey guys, we got a Marvel game and we're going to have a Marvel update with no new characters. So yeah, we probably are never going to see an update like that, but now we know. So check this out. It's Black Widow. Pretty damn cool. So let's see what this says. HQ headquarters recruited personnel to investigate many unexplored lands. Black Widow has been put in charge of one of the areas S.H.I.E.L.D. requested. At the site, she discovered a large symbol and phrases written in Russian. I don't know what accent that was. In order to gain more intel, further investigation is needed. So, this is actually a twofer. This is a 2-for-1 sneak peek. We not only get to see that the next update is, in fact, going to be the planned Black Widow update. Screw you, COVID-19. Yeah, punk-ass virus. You think you're going to stop us from making a Black Widow update? Dream on. Kiss my butt. This is amazing, obviously, for all the Black Widow fans out there. Also, people who were terrified that we were going to get another Blast Tier 3. We probably won't, so that's really good. There's actually a lot to talk about for this sneak peek, but I think the first thing that people are going to be asking is what I just said. You know, how is it possible, Cynicalex? Why are we having a Black Widow update? Aren't we going to get spoiled for the movie? Also, isn't the movie coming out in November? Then what's going to happen in November? Well, yes, the movie has been delayed until November because people just aren't going to theaters because of social distancing and because it's dangerous and it's a risk to public safety, right? To encourage people to go out to the theaters when there's a situation like this with a virus. So Marvel and other movies have done the right thing by delaying their movies, but video games don't have that same luxury where they can negotiate and then just delay things, because the movie's already shot, it's already made, it's done, it's just sitting there waiting to be shown. But video game content, especially for mobile games, it's a constant creation process, right? We are seeing an update. We see the House of X update, and the team that made that update is already doing the finishing touches on the next update. They have to be working way in advance. Otherwise, it's impossible for them to be making updates, month after month after month. And what this means also, this basically just confirms what we already knew. But for those of you that don't know, the Netmarble Monster developers and Marvel Future Fight and Netmarble, they don't have advanced access to the movie. It's not like they've seen Marvel's Black Widow. They don't know the premise of the movie. The update is loosely based on Marvel's Black Widow, but to be honest, what you should probably expect is what you've seen from the trailers. So we can probably expect a black and red outfit for Black Widow that's more classic, more like the comics, and we can probably expect a Synergy uniform where she's in white. But those are things that you see in the trailers. We might be seeing a legendary battle where there's a helicopter involved and there's some scaffolding and it's kind of like a factory, which is what we saw in the trailer. So I would really encourage you, or not encourage you, but I would really set the expectations there. I don't think we're going to see anything beyond the trailers. I wouldn't expect any spoilers. There have never really been any spoilers from any of the legendary battles. As far as I understand it, and from the talking that I've done with the developers when I was lucky enough to go to the LA headquarters of Netmarble, is that the legendary battles are kind of like what-if scenarios. They're sort of like, okay, we have this situation, right? So in the Endgame one, their situation was, well, what if they beat Thanos and then Tony takes the glove and puts it on and snaps everything back to the way that it was, which is kind of how it ends up being in Endgame. That is kind of how it ends up working, but in Endgame, we know that they have to use the glove to defeat Thanos. In Marvel Future Fight's legendary battle, they defeat Thanos, and then they use the glove to just undo all the bad stuff that he did. He never destroys the stones, yada, yada, yada. So it's obviously just an interpretation. So don't worry about spoilers. Don't worry about having to skip this update or skip this legendary battle because of spoilers. I highly doubt it. Now, there is actually words. You can the image is kind of low res on the forums, but if you go on Twitter, there are actually words that you can read. The team that did the sneak peek did a really good job. And so there's words you can read. It's obviously redacted to look sort of like spy papers, confidential stuff. From some sort of dossier, sort of like Winter Soldier. Apparently here it says announcement, so that's what that says. And then here it says Marvel's Black Widow. It's just sort of stricken out again, sort of redacted. And what I said earlier about this being a twofer in terms of the sneak peek is that we know it's going to be a Black Widow update, and we know we're going to be getting a legendary battle. Because you could have told me that we're going to be getting the Black Widow update, but they're going to be delaying the legendary battle until November. I would have been, I would have completely agreed with you on that one. I would have been believable. That would have been believable to me, and I would have believed you and gone along with that because it also makes sense. But this also makes sense because, like I said, legendary battles are not pulled directly from the movie. They're just loosely based on what they know from the trailers. And we see here that there's just a normal mode. I'm not sure if that's a sort of clue or a hint that the extreme mode is going to be different this time around. Maybe there won't be an extreme mode. Maybe this will be sort of like a freebie one, the way that the Thor Ragnarok one was about 2.5 years ago in late 2017 when they introduced it. I would love for them to do that personally because the Thor Ragnarok legendary battle is still one of the most valuable. You just have to max out the uniforms. You don't have to pay an additional crystal cost to purchase the extreme mode like this for all of the other ones. But for Ragnarok, it was so good, and it was such a good entry point for legendary battles because it gave so much away, right? You have all these rewards here, and all you had to do was follow the steps. And there was 5 different battles. It's just so good. Multiple CTPs, multiple premium cards. I really think that what they should do is if they do this, they should really add more premium cards, because this is really the only way for free-to-play and low-spending players to guarantee good cards that have 3 base stats that are fixed rather than 2. And I'm always telling players, max out Thor Ragnarok uniform, even though Endgame is better, because that Loki 2 card is so good. There's plenty of veterans nowadays. There's plenty of Endgame players that use this card now. So we already have cards in the game that they could pick and choose from. We obviously have this one right here. So I think it would be amazing for them to add this card as a premium reward for, let's say, getting Black Widow's new uniform to Mythic, or getting, whatever, Taskmaster's uniform to Mythic. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here with having just a normal version of the legendary battle and not having the extreme mode. It also would mean that the update's a little bit cheaper, a little bit more free-to-play friendly, which would be really nice in, going along with the whole, we're listening to agents. We know that there's a lot of really expensive crystal purchases constantly being added, like Danger Room and Epic Quest characters and this and that. So here's a freebie, guys. Here's an update where we're not going to hammer your wallet with like 9,000 crystals worth of things to purchase. Or it could mean many different things. It could mean that the extreme mode is just, going to be unlockable later. Or it could mean that the extreme mode is going to come out with the movie. We don't know. But I really like this sneak peek. I love the silhouette of Black Widow. I like the red. If it looks like this in game, that'll be dope. I don't know if it's going to look like this in game, but if it does, that would be awesome. So yeah, shout out to the sneak peek team. They did a wonderful job. So as far as the update goes, what else can you expect, and what should you be doing now for the update, now that you know it's a Black Widow update? Because before, all we knew was they're going to be making improvements to the inventory, Shadowland, and Dimension missions. So now that we know that it's a Black Widow update, well, start saving up, not squad battle, start saving up your Dimension tokens, your Rift tokens, or start spending them on Black Widow to build up those bios. If you haven't got Black Widow tier 2 already, maybe don't get her to tier 2, but start building up those Rift tokens so that you can trade them in for her bios later to max out her uniform. Obviously, make sure that you're buying these uniform upgrade kits every day for uniforms. That goes without saying. But also, maybe, just in general, don't buy things in the support shop because they might be improving it and making changes, maybe making some things cheaper. On top of that, here's the best part, and this is why I'm really actually excited about this update. There's like a 90 to 99% chance that Black Widow is the tier 3, because besides Spider-Man Far From Home, every other MCU movie since they introduced tier 3s has had the character that's the main of the movie getting the tier 3. So Ant-Man movie comes out, Ant-Man gets a tier 3. Captain Marvel movie comes out, Captain Marvel gets a tier 3. Spider-Man movie comes out, we expected Mysterio to get a tier 3. It was Doctor Strange. So that was the first one where we were kind of confused about it, but I would be very confused and I would be very surprised if Black Widow is not the tier 3 for this update. We're not going to have another blast type. It's almost impossible. Another speed type makes sense. A combat type also makes sense, so I guess it could be Taskmaster, but both Black Widow and Taskmaster are free. They're free to play. They're not free. They're free to play, so they would be 800 cost. And the bonus on top of that is that they are both characters that have their potential already unlocked. So it's great. We don't have to go through the whole, you get your tier 3 today, I get my tier 3 in 3 weeks kind of BS. Now, Netmarble Monster, Netmarble Monster could pull a fast one on us and make like Doctor Doom tier 3 or some garbage like that. But I highly doubt they're going to do that for an MCU-themed update. I think they're going to, put the greedy gloves away and just be more generous, be more straightforward. What this means is there's a possibility they didn't put this in the original notice for the tier 3 selector because, of course, they don't want to spoil the sneak peeks that they worked so hard on. But it means that the tier 3 selector could be usable on the next tier 3 because we're going to get the tier 3 selector, I think, a couple days or like a week or a couple days after the update lands. So the update's going to land, and then it'll be the 28th when we get the selector. So if I can use the selector on Black Widow or Taskmaster, hell yeah, I'm going to use that selector. That would be amazing. So hopefully that is true. I don't want to hype myself and you up too much, but it just makes sense, right? It wouldn't really make sense for them to make anyone other than Black Widow or Taskmaster the tier 3. It would be so shady if they introduced someone else. Like, we're expecting, for example, or some players are expecting, we're thinking maybe Red Guardian's going to be added. But imagine how crazy it would be or how crooked it would be if they introduced like Red Guardian native tier 2 and make him the tier 3 so you can't use the ticket, Like they have to go through a lot of mental gymnastics and BS to make that tier 3 selector not usable for this next update. So hopefully it is. It would make a lot of sense if it is. It would be really shady if it isn't. But yeah, I'm pretty excited actually for a Black Widow update and a Black Widow tier 3. Black Widow has been one of the worst, along with Hulk. Black Widow and Hulk have been the two worst Avengers up until the point where, well, they've been the worst Avengers since Ronan got his uniform, right? Before Hawkeye got his uniform, Hawkeye was the laughing stock and the locking stock of the Avengers. But since he got that uniform for Endgame, Black Widow and Hulk like legit got shafted. Their uniforms were not good for Endgame compared to Cap, compared to Iron Man, compared to Thor and Ronan, not even close. Even Nebula got a better upgrade than Black Widow. It was crazy. So she really does deserve it. It's her movie. It would make like no sense for someone else to get the tier 3. And yeah, man, more speed tier 3s means less blast tier 3 BS in timeline battle. Well, she's universal now. So anyways, I needed to bring that back. But yeah, I'm totally down for it. As long as we're not getting more blast tier 3s, I don't really care. Universal, speed. I mean, obviously universal is best, but yeah, speed or combat, not blast. Incoming Black Widow blast uniform for her tier 3. So without further speculation here, start stockpiling your biometrics for Taskmaster. Start stockpiling your Rift tokens for Black Widow. I wouldn't work on Black Widow. That was sort of what I was leading into when I said, save up your Rift tokens for her. Don't work on her, because if you can use the tier 3 selector on her, that'll save you all of that work. So if you've been working on Black Widow, stop. The game automatically gives you a free tier 2 Black Widow for the story, but you can still work on her past that. The only thing I would do is just unlock her potential now. Make sure that her potential and Taskmaster's potentials are unlocked, but you can leave them unlocked. Like leave them at level 60 with unlocked potential. Because if either one of them gets their tier 3 and you can use the selector on them, you want to do that instead. See, I took Baron Zemo to 62, but like just leave them at 60 with their potential unlocked and then hope for the best for that tier 3 selector. So let me know what you think. Black Widow update plus all of the quality of life stuff. Could this be the update that turns things around for Marvel Future Fight? I certainly hope so. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.